So what are you guys' thoughts on, and I don't want to really talk much about the Charlie incident because I think we've talked about that a lot, but we can take a lot away from the incident, right? Because we're all on a panel. We all have a difference in opinion. We all speak our mind, right? And it's opinionated. It's just our opinion on a topic. But do you think that our freedom of speech is beneficial? Or is it damaging? Do you think we should have it? Should it be censored? Because you remember back in the day, it used to be censored. You just couldn't get on, even if you want to see a little cha-cha-cha, you had to pay for HBO back in the day, So what do you guys think about freedom of speech? Has it gone too far, which is causing a lot of commotion? Or do you think that it's just that people are taking things too far? What are your thoughts?
I definitely don't feel like our right to freedom of speech should be restricted or censored in any type of way. I think people have taken the right too far, of course. And I think these are more uneducated people in terms of not really using a level of discernment when they're speaking, and they end up inciting violence and building a rhetoric behind themselves that kind of perpetuates a seeking of violence. So I don't think we need to censor ourselves. I think people need to be more conscientious of what they say and the result of those, especially when they have a following, they're influential, and people look to them. I think we just need to watch what we say. I don't think we need to be silenced.
But in watching what you say, isn't that still almost not necessarily silencing you, but it's just a censor?
I mean, you're self-filtering. Nobody else is telling you what to say. You're using that level of awareness and foresight to know what you're going to say and how it's going to land with people. So, you know what I mean? You're already self-filtering.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Anybody else's thought on that?
I'll go.
Okay.
Hey, y'all. Miss y'all. Hey, Shannon.
I miss you too,
fellas. At some point in my life, I was one of those people who was like, freedom, 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 freedom. And I still believe in freedom. But the more I have to take on a leadership role in society recently, I realized a lot of people are followers and a lot of people have to be told what to do. I'm really I know some of y'all duh, but to me, I'm like, it's really people out here who need to be told what to do. And it's more people in the world who needs to be told what to do than people who are leading, So with that being said, I think censorship is good because you can still get your point across, and then they can still bleep out certain words and, might be harmful and things of that way, like censorship in that way. But I do agree with Miss Pearl to an extent, because it's and I know she didn't say this point exactly, but when she said censor yourself, I think that's important. Just censoring people without letting them know why it's wrong and things of that nature, it's not going to stop the behavior. It might stop it on the media, but it's not going to stop it in real life. So I feel like if there is going to be some type of censorship or hands-on something going on, there needs to be making sure there is some type of understanding behind it to whoever needs to be censored.
I was going to say, I do think I also agree that there should be a level of censorship, especially with how much access kids have to content. So for me, that's the perspective that I'm thinking from. As adults, I do think you should be allowed to say whatever you want to say, right? And be able to, like you said, monitor and censor yourself, right? And learn how to agree to disagree if you don't like what the other person is saying. That's part of being an adult, right? But where I think the censorship should come in is who's having access to this information. Like when we were growing up, it was stay out of grown folk business, right? Because it was just certain things, certain conversations that were not appropriate for kids to be involved in, right? So I think with this whole like internet and social media, we're seeing the impact and influence that it is having on our children. And so, like Shan was saying, like back in the day, was there ratchet stuff? Absolutely. But there were some things in place to at least help mitigate and minimize some of the access that we had. So it was like, yeah, you want to see what you call it, cha cha cha, right? It's like, if you know, most of us, well, I know I couldn't grow up. We didn't grow up with HBO. My parents wasn't using their hard earned money to get no HBO, right? So we put it on Channel U, and you know, black and white scramble. We trying to catch a little, catch a little something. You know what I'm saying? So it was like,
get that wire hanger and like.
So, and even with the music, like you were limited. It wasn't that it wasn't, you know, trashy music that was out or whatever, but it was limited in terms of your ability to have access to it. And then you would have to sneak it. So it wasn't as widespread, right? And then I think in general, as a whole, the society as a whole had a different mindset, I would say, than they do today. So even if you didn't censor yourself, you had other people that helped correct behavior, right? And assisted with trying to train you up better. And I think since we lost that sense of community, we lost that sense of people really teaching their kids. And now everyone's turning to social media, and social media is beginning to raise your children. And so I think that's where we're in this place. So I would definitely think going back to a level of censorship, at least to protect our children, is a good thing.
If anybody else want to, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would have to say I have a difference of opinion when it comes to censorship, and I'll tell you why. I think that as Americans, we are naturally taught to be salesmen and women. If you ever interact with people internationally, you'll see that there's a difference in how they approach the truth. And what we're taught in this society is that you're always supposed to keep the truth behind layers. What I think it's done is it's created an expectation that people are supposed to give everything to you the way you want to hear it compared to what it is. This is why you have politicians that'll stand up before people and give an agenda that is not accurate or true. Then you find out years later that they were lying. And I think that Ms. Taken, great point. There's a difference between children and adults. As adults, we would expect that at a certain point you mature and develop enough to understand and decipher what is or what isn't. And if you don't know, then ask questions. But I think our society in large is just too soft. Words shouldn't, in my opinion, hurt. They should invoke thought. And if you were concerned about what someone is saying, an intelligent person would inquire. An unintelligent person, an emotional person reacts. That's what I see. And I'll land.
I feel like at first it was a little bit soft, but I think because they do want it to be a little bit more blunt now, I think people overdoing it. So but like you said, because it was too soft at some point, maybe people are overdoing it, so that change can happen, and hopefully we can find that middle ground so we can figure out what overdoing it is. Because as far as these kids, like I feel like us 90s babies, I ain't gonna lie, I feel like we perfect and can't do no wrong. Like we got a balance. I ain't gonna lie. Like y'all right above us, y'all too harsh, and the ones below us, they just don't care at all. You get what I'm saying? These younger generations, when I hear these kids talk, I'm like, I'm a parent. Like, what are you doing? Or just when I look, like, for instance, right, I seen a lot of older people talking about yesterday's situation, but I was looking at 6th and 7th grade group chats, and they were celebrating. Like, as a kid, I wouldn't even know to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I do feel like them taking the censorship off is affecting our community specifically in a different way.